Hi, everyone. I'm Dennis Lim, Director of Programming for the New York Film Festival, and very pleased to be joined today virtually by the director of one of our Main Slate films, Vortex, Gaspar Noé. Hi, Gaspar. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hi.
Sorry you couldn't be here in person. It would have been great to present the film with you.
I know, but your nation doesn't want me.
I don't know about our nation, but I'm sure the audience wants you. And this is the second year in a row that we're showing your films. Last year, you might have heard that John Waters presented a double bill of Climax and Pasolini's Salo at a drive-in at the Bronx Zoo last year. So that was one of the highlights of last year's festival.
Yeah, I wish I was there that day.
Yeah. Well, next time. But anyway, we're here to talk about Vortex, and I think I'll just begin by asking you how this came together, because I know this was a very, very quick production. You had the idea, you shot it very quickly. I mean, I think it was just a few months, right?
Actually, the idea of this movie came to me during New Year's Eve when I was in Argentina with my father, and I came back to Paris mid-January, and my line producer had found a location. So as soon as I got here, I went to see this location of an apartment, and everybody for the last year and a half was asking me, do you have a project that could fit to these COVID times, like 2-3 characters inside a closed space? And so for the whole last year, I was thinking, if I had to shoot something easy by these COVID times, what could I shoot? And I had in mind the idea of doing a movie about an old couple. And as I've seen dementia from close, because my mother had dementia a few years ago, and she died of it, I knew the subject. So it seemed to me that it would be a very easy project to film, like the last days of a couple inside a closed space, but also it was at a moment in which the vaccines just appeared. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't. It wasn't easy to find all actors to play in a movie without a mask. Hopefully that we could get. I could finally convince with the 10 pages treatment Françoise Lebrun, whose performance in The Mother and the Whore obsessed me for the last 20 years. And I could also convince Dario Argento, who was ready to shoot a new movie, but his movie had been delayed also because of COVID reasons. So he was available and he said yes, but then we had to get a vaccination for the two of them and also for me. And finally, we started preparing with the art director the location, and 1 month later we had the whole location redesigned, and the Dario came from Rome, and we shot the movie in 5 weeks. And then in my head, because we finished shooting mid-May, I thought the Cannes Film Festival would be in October or November, once again for COVID reasons, and finally the festival was held in July, so I had to accelerate the whole post-production. And between the moment I conceived the movie to the day that I delivered it took me 5 months and a half, 6 months. But I like working in speed. Fassbinder could do 3 movies a year, Mizoguchi too. If I do 1 movie a year, I'm happy, but it's not I'm not Mizoguchi, I'm not Fassbinder.
So, I think almost everyone has described this film as kind of a departure for you. And I'm wondering if you see it that way, because in some ways it is, but I think maybe in some ways it isn't also.
I don't think it's a departure. For me, it's all part of the same story. Let's say that it was a project that could be made during the confinement. And also it was a project that I really wanted to do, because I wasn't annoyed that all my last movies were dealing with the young characters discovering sex, love, and drugs. But I said, well, that life is not only that. And my first feature, I Stand Alone, had an actor who was 30 years older than me in the lead role. And also my first short was with a much older woman. I like grown-up people as much as I like the young ones. And I thought it would be very touching to do such a subject, also because it's so universal in every family. There is a grandmother, a grandfather, a father, an uncle with dementia, I still don't understand why there are not more movies about such subjects when it's everywhere. No, there was this movie called Far From Her. Then there was of course Amour by Haneke. Then there was this other movie lately called The Father. But you could count all the good movies on senility with the fingers of two hands, and it's so universal. And probably the result is that the movie is a general audience movie. There is no sex, no drugs, and nothing like that. But still, many people told me this is your most violent movie in terms of what it shows of the human experience.
And do you think that maybe it's because it's something that people generally don't want to confront? Why there's so few movies?
People don't want to confront it because they know that they will confront it. I read lately that above 85 years old, 1 person out of 3 has a beginning of Alzheimer or has Alzheimer, and also like 1 person out of 6 above 65 has a beginning of Alzheimer. So it's something that we would certainly be confronted to personally or through our beloved. That's the word fear. And having experienced many psychedelics in my life, when I saw my mother under the spell of dementia, which is like a irreversible spell, she was in a state of terror that I wouldn't wish to anybody. It's not like the kids in Climax that have been spiked and you know that dementia lasts for one night or one day. Yeah. When your brain starts falling apart, it's a one-way ticket, and it's not fine.
You mentioned your mother's experience, but I heard you also had like some a health situation, right, recently?
Yeah, I had a brain hemorrhage 1.5 years ago, and actually it was good. No, but it was good because I survived to it without any damage, and maybe to be exposed to a situation in which you almost died, it makes you rethink a lot of things. They told me that I had 1 chance out of 2 of dying during that brain hemorrhage, but and 35% of chances of having a brain damage. But I survived to it, so I thought I was very lucky. I also discovered morphine, and then because in the hospital they gave me so much morphine, I had to quit morphine, and I felt like I was a junkie for 1 month when I came out. But the other thing is just like the closer you are to death, the less you believe it. There is anything after death. I just felt like in my movie, that if I had died, it would be a big mess for my father, for the close people around me, to deal with all my poster collection, my debts, my papers. And probably the main reason why I didn't want nothing bad to happen to me, it was not to leave them all that stuff to deal with. But probably I became even more materialistic since that happened.
How so?
Even more materialistic, less spiritual.
Less spiritual.
Yeah, in a way, it's just like I believe in relationships, but I don't even know. I like that sentence that that Dario says in the movie from Edgar Allan Poe. Life is a dream within a dream. I really, even more than before, I feel that life is a dream within a dream.
I mean, in some ways, you've confronted death in a different way in Enter the Void, which I think was in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, like a sort of important reference point for that film. And I was wondering how you compare these two, these two ways of looking at dying and death.
But Enter the Void was a movie based or inspired by the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but it's not because you portray a book cinematic that you believe what is said in the book.
Yeah,
I could have done a movie about flying saucers without believing in Martians. Also, when I wrote the first script of Into the Void, I was in my 20s. And when you are in your 20s, you don't want to die because you have a whole life that you want to live in front of you. So you're far more afraid of death when you're 20 than when you're 57.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fear of death disappears slowly with age. At the end, even some people say that they really desire to fall asleep and never wake up. I heard it many times from old people.
Mm. So, beyond this being a subject that hasn't been dealt with in cinema very much, like, is there something about just how it's represented usually, aging, the experience of mortality on screen that you think that you wanted to maybe fight against with this film, to do it differently?
No, actually, I just wanted to shoot the movie smoothly. And with the events of real life as I've experienced through my family or through my friends' families, because so many other people dying this year of COVID, and their families dealing with the ceremonies and things like that. And there was something very peaceful last year with the confinement. I could finally also spend a whole year at my place watching movies and watching all the classics that I had missed of Japanese cinema, or even Andrei Rublev. And the pace of life last year in 2020 and 2021 was very different from everything we had experienced before. So even I think there's some kind of sudden fear of death or acceptance of death and maturity that came with this virus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's reflected in the film too, the sort of peacefulness. You mentioned at the start that the idea came to you on New Year's Eve when you were with your father. Can you say more about what that moment was like?
No, I was in Buenos Aires having holidays with my father. He had rented a house. There was a swimming pool, and then when I said, I get that, I have to go back because I have some debts. I have to get some money, so I have to start a movie. And said, what's the movie about? And I said, well, it's about an old couple. I said, is it about us? I said, no, it's not about us. It's just an old couple, and she said, she's going to be a psychiatrist, and I don't know what the character of the actor is going to be, because until I don't have the names of those who will be playing, but I'm going to try to do that movie. So yeah, she was surprised that I could want to do a movie quickly, but it happened. And there is something very joyful about not spending too much time writing or doing pre-production. It was like almost a spontaneous production.
Mm-hmm.
And even Dario was very surprised that when I went I called his daughter the day before, say, do you think your father could be interested in shooting in a movie? And I had met Dario many years before, like 30 years, and we were friends. But she said, yeah, please come. So I took a flight, and we spent the afternoon together. And he said, well, but when do you want to shoot this movie? I said, well, in 2-3 weeks maximum. And he said, it's a joke. No, okay. And how much time are we going to spend? Or 4 weeks? Can you make it? Yeah. But he said, but then I have to come back immediately to Rome because I'm shooting my new movie. And that's how it happened.
So it's, and
it's also something very playful. It was very playful for me, for them, and for the Alex Lutz, who plays their son, and who's also a film director, to create collectively a movie with just a 10-page script and no dialogue. So I was asking him, what do you want to play? And we decided together with Dario that he would play a film critic because that was his first job. And then he came with the idea that he would have a lover. And I said, oh, great, okay, we'll find you a lover. And finally, it was the girl who was taking care of the wardrobe on the movie who played his lover. And then I was asking Alex, what would you want to do as a job? So he said, well, I could work in movies. But then we decided that together the son would be a junkie. And the same thing with Françoise. I didn't give her any lines. And I said also, even if I gave you or you come with lines, I'll probably say yes, but then you have to mumble because at this stage of senility, no one should really understand what you're saying, or even you could invent words from time to time that don't exist. And then so she created her own character, and the idea of shooting the movie with a split screen wasn't very clear for me before I started shooting. But on the first 2 days, I shot some scenes with just one camera and other ones with two cameras. And on the third day, watching the material, I said, oh, probably it's going to be better if I do the whole movie with a double screen. And so we reshot some scenes of the first 2 days. And from then on, I knew that the whole movie would be like following the different characters separately.
What do you think the effect of that is for the viewer? What was the effect you wanted to achieve with the split screen?
It was not an effect that I wanted to achieve. It's just it seemed to me evident on the third day when we were watching the material that it worked. So it seemed to me more natural to have like two persons on two screens talking together than going from a close-up of the husband and the one who would stop talking to go to the face of the wife, etc. Because that's even more unnatural. Cinema is a very unnatural language, and especially the TV language is totally unnatural. And so once the split screen is accepted as a principle, as a language principle, it works very smoothly. And you're like following two lives that are linked but that are separated. And I think it seems closer to real life by shooting it that way.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just, I want to wrap up soon, but I want to come back to the actors who I think are so important to the film, and they're such surprising choices in some ways, but also so perfect, and you said Dario was somebody you had known for a while. I think this idea of putting these two together, can you say a little bit more about that? I know you said Françoise, very, one of the great performances in one of the great films, obviously, in The Mother and the Whore, but like just this idea of like seeing them as a couple, I think is so inspired.
It was not like a decision of putting two persons coming from different families of cinema that brought me to have them together. If I proposed it to Françoise, and she was my very first idea, is because I'm a huge admirer of her performance in The Mother and the Whore, and of the movie itself. And I was obsessed with that movie for years, and her monologue at the end is one of the most impressive monologues in the whole history of cinema. So she's an actress that is mostly famous for one film that many people consider as the best French film of the 70s. And then it's like she didn't disappear, but she never had another major moment on a screen. And I always thought I would like to meet her. I would love to meet her. And finally, 1.5 years ago, I met her in a film festival and I took her number. So when I decided to do this movie, I immediately called her and said, oh, I have can I meet you? And so we met. And she didn't say yes, she didn't say no. She wanted to know who would be her partner. And then in her case, I knew that she was so touching. I wanted her character to be as touching as possible. So I wanted a face and a voice of someone that you would want to hug during the whole screening.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted the same thing for the male character. And I was thinking, who's the coolest man, actor, non-actor, politician, poet, or film director that I could put on screen? Someone that you would want to hug even more than the actor who played Umberto De in the Sicas movie. And among the people that I could think of, male characters of 80 years old, the funniest one, the most lovely one of all film directors is who speaks French is Dario Argento. I've seen movies with Scorsese. I've seen movies with Eric von Stroheim. I've seen movies with Victor Sjöström. He was in the and having a film director that you love who could improvise on the set in French as Dario, for me was the best idea I could think of. But I was very annoyed in February because I was, of course, thinking of him as the first choice, but I was told that he would start shooting his movie in May. So when finally the company, Wild Bunch, that was financing my movie and financing his movie, told me, no, we're delaying his production. So, yeah, bingo, I call Adrian. That's why I call Adrian. He told me to convince her of that. And then I flew to Rome. And and 2 days later, he said, okay. And everything happened exactly as I dreamt it could happen. And then we were coming to the third character. Once the two of them had confirmed that it would be the lead roles, I want to have someone who would be French, who could look like both of them, someone on his 40s. And I had seen the movie that Alex Lutz, the only feature that he directed, in which he plays a 75 years old singer with some prosthetics on his face. And his performance was so good that I met him. And he's very melancholic, although he's a comedian. Also, he's a very melancholic person. And physically, he looked like the two of them, and I introduced him to the two of them, and everything went well. So there we go. We shot the movie very quickly. Yeah. Everybody had a mask on besides the actors, and then
so you said with Françoise, you didn't give her lines, and you talked about mumbling. Were there things about that performance and that character that you drew on your experiences with your mother?
Yeah, there's some parts in the movie that come that they're almost like a copy and paste of my own life, but not everything. So some moments are copy and paste, but also because she never had any cognitive problems, and she has a mother who's 100 years old, who lives alone and who has all her mind. She was never really confronted with dementia. So I gave her a lot of footage of documentaries or people I had filmed, my mother and other people, just the best moments that I could find to inspire her to create her own performance. And then once she had that material, she considered it. And then we're on the set. And we didn't shoot much. We were not rehearsing. We would start shooting. And we would do 1, 2, 3, 4 takes maximum, and then usually the last one was always the best one.
And one question about Dario's character: this book he's working on cinema and dreams. Did that come from you or from Dario?
No, that I proposed him to be writing a book called Psyche. Also because Psyche was the shooting title for Climax. When we were shooting Climax, I would say, oh, that would be a good title for a movie, Psyche. But so I said, okay, you're writing a book called Psyche, and it's about dreams and cinema.
Great.
And for example, I didn't write his dialogues when he's on the phone with a friend talking about the book he's writing. I just filmed them. I just filmed him on the phone for half an hour, and he was improvising. I just kept the best moment.
It's great. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up.
The main scene in the middle of the movie, the scene that is 12 minutes long. Yeah. I didn't write any line, neither the actors. So we just went to say, oh, we know the situation. He's going to try to convince you that you'd go to a special home for old people. And I put the 2 cameras. I know, let's go, let's shoot it. And so we shot it 3 times, and each take was like 20 minutes long. And of course, once again, the 3rd take was the best one. But I barely said anything. They really understood what they were playing, and so they created the scene together. And then I just had to keep the good moments in the last take, and the 20 minutes take became a 12 minutes take, and that's the scene you see in the movie.
So it seems like Dario is in great shape, right? He's finished. You said he's about to make another film, and
no, he just finished. No, he finished.
He's finished it already. Oh, incredible!
Okay. I know he's finishing the editing. So yeah, probably very soon you'll have the new Dario Argento.
Cool. You know, we're planning a Dario Argento retrospective actually, and so we're hoping that he can come next year. So I think it'll be great to. We'll probably show Vortex as well. But lastly, you know, since you won't be here to meet the audience, I'll be introducing your film tomorrow night at its premiere. Anything you want to say to the audience before they see it?
That you get ready to cry.
Okay, I think that's good. I will convey that. Gaspar, thanks so much, and congratulations on the film. We'll make sure we have you with us next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.